Are we live?
Yeah, go.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Publish for Profit. We're at Busybird headquarters today, and Les and I are going to talk to you about anything we can think about in terms of writing and publishing. So Les, what have you been working on this week?
So, this week I'm still working on my novel, trying to get it into some sort of shape.
Is this book number 3 with Pen Terror?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. It depends how big they let me make it.
Okay.
I think it's already gone a little bit further than they probably would have anticipated.
So how many words is it?
121,000.
Okay. That's about 30, 40 more than the last one?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
But really, a story is as long as it needs to be, isn't it?
Well, hopefully they have the same attitude.
Yeah. And now that you're up to the 3rd book with them, do you find it a real chore to keep, working on something where you have to have, it's like there's this pressure to have the 3rd book in?
No, they don't really have a time limit on it, so it's really just what I set on myself. So, I'm good at finishing things. So once I start something, I stick on it until I finish. This has probably taken a lot longer than I would have anticipated because I was working on other things simultaneously. But
well, you've had lots of projects, haven't you? Because you've had a lot of success with scripts and things like that.
Getting some attention with screenplays. So that's
really good.
Probably when I wrote this novel, I probably didn't think that part of that facet of my writing would actually gain any interest or gain quick interest.
Why did you think that?
Just a very competitive industry, and I wasn't putting like 100% into it. I was just sort of sending stuff out, just thinking I just wanted to make a little bit of noise, just so that people know I existed. But some of the stuff's actually placed in competitions, and it's gotten people interested who are actually wanting redrafts and stuff like that. So I didn't think that level of demand would be there this soon.
Yeah.
And because it has been, now I've had to actually share time with my prose writing.
No, that's tricky, isn't it? Especially when you're working full time.
My boss is a tyrant. It's just a machine, just a slave driver.
So, when it comes to
horrible.
Yeah.
Just
okay,
terrible.
Enough. So when it comes to writing, that's one part of the book process. So how do you switch gear? Because this is what we're trying to talk to people about, how to, once you've written your stuff, whether it's a book or what script or whatever it is, how do you switch gear? Because really you have to treat it like a business, don't you? It's almost like you're going from the creative brain to the more logical, business-like.
Yeah, well, I always think people, writers, to me, even classify their writing as a hobby, and it's more than that. Hobbies collecting stamps or gardening or whatever the case might be.
And for a lot of writers, it's starting 100 different short stories or 100 different novels or ideas and never actually finishing something. Yeah,
so imagine writing is a hobby if you have no greater plan other than just to write for your own entertainment or for your own edification, and it's never going to see the light of day. But most people we know are writing books. So that's more than a hobby because you're trying to get your book out there and you're trying to reach as many readers as possible. And I imagine most writers would want to make a career out of it or at least complement whatever they are doing with their writing. So it's a lot more than a hobby. A hobby is something you just do on the side, which has no professional facet, no professional input into their lives.
Yeah.
And a lot of writers I know actually would love to write full time if they could, or write enough that they could only need to work part time. So it's a lot more than a hobby, and for a lot of people, it's just a driving passion.
What do you think is the biggest hurdle then for those people to try and sort of, make that leap from hobby to profession?
That's a good question. I've got to just drift up and
Yay, somebody likes us.
There's 2 people. I think the hardest thing for most writers is to actually just regiment their timetable and find time to write. Too many writers I know just always say, I don't have time. And you talk to them and you find they actually do have time. They just don't use it efficiently. You know, you have people sitting around going, I don't have time, but I watched The Voice last night. So,
or I was on Facebook for 5 hours.
Yeah. You know, and as you found out, you know, you got up a little bit earlier every day to work on your novel.
Yeah.
And you've got on halfway through that novel over 9 years.
Yep.
And you finished
Not even halfway.
Yeah.
Only about 20,000 words.
And then what did you do? You got up half an hour earlier every day.
Yep.
And the other thing you'll find is when you're actually writing, if you're actually sticking to it, you'll develop momentum. So as you develop momentum, you actually want to keep writing because you want to find out where it goes. As you're at work or whatever you're doing, if you're doing housework or taking care of the kids or whatever the case is, it'll always be running around in your mind. So you'll actually want to get back to it. Too many people sort of go, I don't have time, or I only have little blocks of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I've always thought, what, in 15 minutes, how much could you write? Like about 500 words?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit much, but 15 minutes, and that's like 2 hours of...
But even if you write just a paragraph or something, that's better than nothing.
Yeah. But, you know, just you can do something in little bits of time, but you will find that once you actually are doing it, you stick at it longer and you start to find time to write. And when I say find time, you're really just making time. You're saying, you know what, I'm not going to watch The Voice tonight. I will go write for an hour.
I think that's the same for any kind of, because to me this is sort of an entrepreneurial, you know, pastime. I think with anything you have to actually decide, okay, this is where I'm putting my energy rather than watching TV or whatever it is.
I mean, the other thing too is a lot of people sort of say, I don't have headspace because I come home from work and
I find that hard sometimes.
And, you know, I have kids or have dialysis or something like that. And it's about learning to write through those times. It's like if you look at any athlete, I'm sure there's times they're not in the right headspace, they're tired, they're exhausted. You look at some of the epic tennis matches that guys like Nadal and Federer have played, which, you know, they go 5 hours. Sure, there's plenty of times they would either just give up, but they've taught themselves to play through that. And that's the same thing with writing. You actually got to teach yourself to write through whatever else is going on in your life. That's what I find. Like once I sit there, then everything else just gradually fades. Yeah. And then I just focus on the writing.
Okay, so once people actually have something that's, you know, publishable, what we have found for a lot of people is they don't know how to then switch, you know, into sort of the marketing promotion area. What sort of advice would you give people?
Well, that's where you do need to think about it as a business. I mean, you've said that, you know, repeatedly throughout workshops and all that. You're selling a product, and it's not a product like a car. We just put in a newspaper. We still have newspapers. When you put it out anywhere, you know, hey, selling this, because people aren't looking for your product, and there's a lot of them out there. So you got to find a way to get yourself noticed. Yeah.
And really, it's unfortunately, you know, back in, you know, the 80s or something, you could be a hermit, couldn't you? You could be a writer and just write your books, and you know, you didn't need to have a following. There was no Facebook or social media, but now it's so much easier to publish that you have to actually make yourself stand out from all the noise, don't you?
Yeah, and with print on demand and ebook publishing, digital publishing, you have a global market immediately. Yeah. You know, which you didn't have 20 years ago. 20 or, you know, would have been 20, 30 years ago, you probably would have been shipping books internationally or finding a printer internationally to print large numbers and trying to get into bookstores. Now, with print on demand, it's instantaneous, ebooks, instantaneous. Yeah. So you can reach a widespread market immediately.
And in actual fact, you can get to that readership without bookstores. I mean, people still, you know, definitely go to bookstores. I love bookstores, and it's very rare that I can leave one without buying something. But, you know, it does mean that the reach is huge. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that thing we learned a few weeks ago where they said there's 4 types of shoppers. There's people who go online, find what they want, then they go into a store and buy it. There's people who go online and then just buy something online. There's people who go in stores and see what they want and they buy it. And there's people who go in stores, see what they want, and they go online and find it. And they found, like, out of those 4 avenues, 3 of the avenues actually involve people going online and actually, you know, finding stuff on the net. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to get noticed. You need to find a way to get noticed. You go to a bookstore, how many books is in the bookstore? I don't know, like several thousand? Yeah. And every week there's lots more being added.
Yeah, and you only really get a short time of shelf space.
Yeah. And, you know, the guys on the main shelves who are face out, Guys like Stephen King and Diana Gabaldon, who he's writing the Outlander series.
Yeah.
Guy Morrissey, all those sort of people there.
And then the bestsellers like The Barefoot Investor or
so they're
the
getting
latest colouring book.
So they get shelf priority.
Yeah.
So you need to find a way to actually get people to say, instead of the new Stephen King, I might buy the new Blaise van Hecke.
Yeah.
Not the Blaise van Hecke.
So there's always a lot of talk about metadata. When it comes to online, metadata in my mind is king, really.
Yeah.
So I thought we could talk about metadata because we had a question from Petra last night on Facebook about KDP Rocket and Facebook and Amazon ads. And really, all of those things involve metadata, don't they? So, and really, metadata is about keywords and putting the best keywords you can in for your work.
And the more information, the better.
Yeah.
Too. Also similar with covers. If you have a cover, you need to upload it so people know what your book looks like. And a lot of these databases now are interlinked.
Yeah.
So what you put in one will appear in another.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to Ingram Spark, Amazon's using their metadata, and that metadata is also going through to other online distributors. And
even when you register an ISBN, there's a lot of chance to put a lot of information into the registration, isn't there? And you can actually go back after the fact and put up a cover and as much information, like reviews and things like that, into the ThoughtBouker system. So that's another way of getting into the metadata. But the other thing about metadata is you really have to know your market really well, don't you?
Yeah.
It's about finding especially in, say, if you're uploading an ebook, I think it's 7 keywords. Is it? Or tags?
Ingram Spark has unlimited tags.
Yeah.
Amazon has 7 from memory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what other databases have because they'll be the 2 main ones and everyone else is using their information.
Yep. So really it's about finding ways to get the best keywords possible to get your audience. And we haven't used KDP Rocket ourselves yet because we don't deal so much in ebooks. But I understand that they actually have a way of finding the best keywords. So it may be worth trying them out. But there's a lot of good reviews about it online. What I have found is a lot of places like Amazon and a lot of the print-on-demand companies, they offer, I guess, an upsell in terms of, putting your book into their catalogues and things like that. But from what people have told me, including people who work in those businesses, is that they're not really worth much because it's really just they're putting it in the catalogue and they're sending it out. So unless you have really good keywords, unless you have a really good marketing strategy behind your book, no one's going to know it exists. What would you say about that? Do you think that having it in a catalogue is really helpful?
Oh, well, there's other books in the catalogue, so what's going to make yours stand out?
Yeah.
In that regard, I just always think in terms of marketing, you got to think a lot more laterally because a lot of people are trying the same things now.
Yeah.
And you got to be leading the pack. 10 years ago, nobody was doing social media.
True. Yeah.
Now everyone's doing social media. So you always need to find ways to market yourself, market your material, market your brand, which is going to draw widespread attention. What was the one? Was it called Rocket?
KDP Rocket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
KDP.
Yeah.
Well, we've never used that. So, but it's such an extremely competitive market. Sorry, not meaning to depress people. You need to find ways to distinguish yourself in the pack. And it's not just about marketing. I think it's also about the message, it's about the quality of your work. I think it's about being unique and being
really,
yourself.
And also coming up with that kind of 1 or 2 sentence pitch that really hooks people in. Because if you don't know your book really intimately and you can't say to people really succinctly what it is, then why would anyone be interested? Because they don't know, I've had people start telling me about their book and half an hour I still don't know what their book is about.
That's usually a really good sign they don't know what their book's about either.
Yeah.
You need if you can't dilute it to a sentence or 2, then you probably don't have any idea what you've written or what you're trying to write about. And that's also because a lot of times the ideas evolve. you start saying, I'm going to write a romance, murder mystery, and then it turns into something else, and you still think you're writing that, but it's actually evolved into a totally different genre.
Yeah. And also, even if you're doing a book about, say you're a naturopath, and there's so many facets to being a naturopath, but if you are specialising in something, that's really what your book should be about, shouldn't it? It shouldn't be about everything, because anyone can write a book about everything about naturopathy.
I'm sure there's plenty of books about everything about naturopathy too.
Yeah.
And it's also about having your own message. The best naturopaths are the ones who really have diluted their business to their own unique essence, rather than just saying what everyone else is saying.
Yeah, so having that unique message. And a lot of people say, I think we were talking about a book yesterday that fits a particular genre, but it doesn't have anything that makes it stand out.
No. Oh, that's right. It is such an extremely competitive industry. It's really important that whatever you do is your own unique version of whatever you're writing. There's too many people who actually just write generic things, or they just regurgitate information. And you really got to find a way to shine as yourself. And it doesn't mean the story has to be whatever content has to be the most original thing. You talk about naturopathy. It's been
around for thousands of years.
But I'm sure if you are a naturopath who had a strong, unique vision of your craft, if you want to call it a craft, or your occupation, and you sold that in the book, then that would stand out a lot more than someone else who's just telling you things that everyone else has told you before.
Which you could just find in the textbooks that you learn, when you're learning naturopathy. So when it comes to getting the book out there, the metadata is really important online, and a lot of people ask about book distribution. And so yes, online. If you're publishing print on demand, that takes care of a lot of distribution. But what a lot of people don't realise is when you engage a distributor to take physical books out to bookshops, they think that once they've got a distributor, they're excited because they think, okay, we've got it made. I'm going to be in every bookshop in Australia or around the world, whatever you think. But in actual fact, they're kind of just a middleman or middle person, if you like, or company, and they're putting your book in their catalogue and they're just offering it to the bookshops. So they're going, okay, here's our list, all the books in their catalogue. What ones do you want? So if a bookshop has never heard of you, or if the message isn't clear about what the book is about, why would they choose you over the 100 other books that they're being offered on that day? So that's where the message is really important in terms of also knowing your market.
You talked about it being a business before. It's also about distinguishing yourself as a brand. You're not just an author. You are a brand. Stephen King is a brand. It's all about horror. You get people like Lee Child, who's also a brand. So the way these people stand out, or have their books stand out, is they go out and market the hell out of themselves, or they did when they were unknowns. And so when the books go into some catalogue and the catalogue go to bookstores, the bookstores will actually look at it and go, hang on, I heard of that person. So
if you can get some media, even if it's, it might sound not that important to get, say, an interview on a local radio station, but that's a start, So it's about just getting the message out as much as you can.
Well, it's like when we saw Matthew Riley speak years ago, and he said he used to sit on buses reading his own book and just holding it up and making sure people could see the title and making noise going,
good product placement there.
Just so people could see, he was enjoying that book. So, that was, again, thinking laterally. You should buy this book. Just thinking laterally. So, again, it's about creating awareness for yourself, for your books. It's also about working on something else too. There's a lot of publishers, traditional publishers, a lot of them are looking for career authors. So it's not just about
someone who's serious about what they do, or they know that they're going to get more and more content from them year in, year out.
So
which is why you have got the 3-book deal.
But you look at someone, can we name names?
Yep.
If you look at someone like Andrew Crossley, who's written about real estate, and then he's got another real estate book coming out. So he's actually establishing himself as a leader in his field.
He's got about 5 books now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and people know to go to him because he obviously knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And he's constantly producing new material. So people are not only reading his stuff, but looking for his next book. And then when the next book comes out, they're obviously looking for his next one because they know that's what he's going to do. He's going to be releasing books regularly.
Yeah.
So it's really important to actually just have an ongoing message. You know, so stuff like metadata, which is vitally important. I think the really important thing is also just to create brand awareness for yourself.
Yeah. Okay, we were aiming for 15 minutes, and we've actually gone to 20. So we might wrap it up. Do you have a joke? You said you were going to make a joke before, but you probably don't have one. I'm terrible at remembering jokes.
That was the intern, Sam. I don't want to embarrass her. She's sitting there. She said she's going to do a stand-up routine.
Okay. Cheers. All right.
Worst joke ever.
We'll be back next Wednesday. So in the meantime, we hope that people will have some questions for us.
Yep. If you have any questions, just list them down, and we will take them into next week.
Yeah. And pretty much we're going to talk about, you know, anything to do with writing and publishing and marketing and everything around books. So, you know, hopefully we can answer the questions. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.